Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2M Net podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to Video Games to the Max, episode 244. And I am your host, Sean Garmer. Here with me, as always, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And of course, we are the official video games podcast, W2Net.com. That's a W2 and an M, and then .net. And then, of course, we're part of Last Word on Life. That's also part of Last Word on Sports. And, well, now that all the pleasantries are out of the way, you should definitely, if you've enjoyed us before and you don't subscribe, always hit that subscribe button. And you get a show whenever we happen to do one here. And of course, also, hit that like button on Facebook. Go review us on Podchaser or wherever it is you listen. Helps us do reviews. And we're doing one later because it was my girlfriend's mom's birthday on Saturday, and I knew she'd have to get up really early, so I was like, I don't want to keep us up until, 1 a.m. or something, and then she's upset because she's tired. So, and hosting a party is always work because you're the one giving food to everybody and everything. So, everybody else gets to have fun with people hosting the party, so there's not so much fun until everybody's done with everything. So, but at least she cut the cake, got to sing happy birthday, all that stuff. So, she got to have fun. Anything, going on with you?
Nope.
Well, we'll, leave what games we're playing, even though we aren't playing a whole ton of a lot, for a little bit later. Even though I should mention right at the top, go check out the Chapter Select with Jens and, Randy. They had a new show. They talked about Evil Within as their primary, that's the main game they're going through. But apparently, Randy wasn't a huge fan of it. But hey, you get to hear both of them talk about their struggles through the game. So that's sometimes even more interesting than just talking about how much you like something. And then they also talked about, I think Jens is also playing Star Wars Squadrons. So you can hear him talk about that. And Randy's playing Crash 4. So there's that as well. Let's get into the important stuff here, or the major stuff that's been going on since we did a show. Microsoft released the 30 games that'll be playable day one. 20 of them have smart delivery, so if you buy it on the Xbox One, or I think it's just Xbox One, right? If you buy it on Xbox One, you can also play it on Series X or S. A lot of these games, as we'll go through, are already available, so you'll,
Most of them are.
Yeah, most of them. And then some of them are current-gen games that are coming out really close to when the game launches, or when the system launches, so you could potentially buy your new system and just buy the newer version of this, or just be getting the new system to play these games on them, so Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is also on PS5 and also PS4 and everything else. It's coming out the same day, so potentially you could, I guess, want to buy your new console and then buy that game as well. Borderlands 3 is getting the upgrade. Bright Memory 1.0, which is it's exclusive to exclusive consoles. It's on PC, but I think it's not getting the upgrade until the Series X comes out, so it is technically exclusive, but it didn't look as good as that video makes it seem on the PC anyway. But maybe once they do these upgrades, yeah.
The PC will always be king, so.
No, I'm talking about like the PC version, because it was in beta. It was like early access when the version you could play on PC wasn't as good as that, cutscene video that they showed on that one. So we'll see how it winds up looking on Series X. Cuisine Royale, which is a battle royale game. It's available right now. You can play it right now. But you can also get it through Smart Delivery, Dead by Daylight, which of course has been a game that's been out forever. Devil May Cry 5 is getting that special edition. Dirt 5, which is one of the games that Microsoft showed off, that they allowed people that had the preview units to play. And that didn't look too great from what I saw. But that's also Dirt, so...
It's a modern-day Dirt game, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should really be expecting that's going to be the game you buy the system for, is not Dirt 5, but it'll probably be a serviceable racing game.
I doubt it.
Well, you'll probably be one being reviewing it, so...
Yeah, I know. That's why I keeping an open mind.
Enlisted, which is an MMO-based shooter, which comes out that day. I don't know if it'll be early access or just it officially launches that day. Evergate, which is very close to Ori, has a very it looks like a little ghost and it's a puzzle platformer. It's out right now on basically everything. The Falconeer is exclusive. You play as a falcon and you can get into some battles and stuff like that. Fortnite, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics actually comes to the console that day. Grounded. That's all out right now. Technically, Maneater's out right now. Manifold Garden's out right now, which is a puzzle game. King Oddball, which is it's only on PC and mobile, but it's also basically a mobile game. So I don't know how much that's gonna entice people. Planet Coaster, which you've played and reviewed. It's a game you like.
Yeah, but I have the PC. I got the console version. It'll be great because you don't have a mouse.
And Observer System Redux, which is a remaster of a current game. Ori, of course. Tetris Effect Connected, which that's another one of their big games that they were making a big deal of because it's got the multiplayer now, right?
Yep.
So if you want to play multiplayer Tetris Effect, you'll get to do that. The Tourist, which you also enjoy.
Yep.
War Thunder, which is a free-to-play vehicle combat game. It's also on PS4 right now. Warhammer Chaos Bane, which you reviewed. It was
not like that much.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. Watch Dogs Legion, which will already have come out on PS4 by the time Series X releases, but you can buy it and then have Smart WRC 9 World Rally Championship, which is another racing game. Yakuza Like a Dragon, which also comes out on PS4. But if you want to play, it's exclusive for this next gen until March of 2021, and then Yes Your Grace also has a current game that's already out right now. Compare that to Godfall, which that does come out on PC. Destruction's All-Stars, which that's exclusive to PS5. Spider-Man Miles Morales, which we do know is coming to PS4. The Pathless is coming to PS4 and PC. Astro's Playroom is actually going to come free on the system already. Bug Snacks is also PS4, PC. Sackboy Big Adventures, PS4. And you do get Demon Souls, exclusive to PS5. So, yeah, talk about 30
PS5
games. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this kind of goes back into the realm of, man, remember when launch lineups were not that great? And this is another one of those. Yeah.
I mean, most of his games will probably be, functional, but, some of them will probably be
most of them are. Most of them are really good games. Even great games, but they've already been out.
Right.
So are you really buying a Series X for again, sorry. This once again proves Microsoft is not here to get you to really buy the console. They just want you in their ecosystem.
They should have made Perfect Dark Zero 1.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously, the big game was going to be Halo, right? And there's no Halo here, and it looks very barren. I mean, having Yakuza be exclusive be your next-gen exclusive, that's great. But
that's not a system seller.
Yeah, it's not going to sell systems. I think it's great for the people that love Yakuza, and you get to play another one of those. I'm sure the Falconeer will be fine.
It's been on Steam for a while, so.
Yeah, I'm sure, Bright Memory will be, fine. I thought it was fine on the PC, but there wasn't a whole lot you could play of it. And like you said, a lot of these games are really good. If you haven't gotten to experience them and you're getting a Series X or S, that's awesome. You pay your $15 for Game Pass, you get to experience a lot of this stuff. But if you held off on an Xbox Series X and you were wanting to get it down the line, none of this that's here, I think is really motivating you to be like, oh man, I messed, you're not getting a Series X at launch. I don't think any of this stuff that's here is making you, go crazy, right?
Except for Borderlands 3, of course.
Yeah, well, you played that and didn't really enjoy it either.
I thought it was fine. The Jens hated it.
Yeah.
Jens hated the story.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've seen out of Yakuza just makes me love it even more. So that's the one game that I might, get day one with the system. Everything else, is either Game Pass or I'll just wait. Nothing's like totally, making me go crazy. But again, like, some of that is also like, hey, you're getting to play that with the better graphics and everything. So, yeah, I mean, the PS5 lineup looks much better. I mean, The Path is a game that I really want to check out. I'll get it for PS4. Bugsnax as well. That's another game that looks really interesting. I love platformers, so Sackboy is another game that I'm excited for. And Spider-Man, of course, is super. Like, if you enjoyed the first Spider-Man, no reason why you wouldn't enjoy this one. But what do you think? I mean, I know you're not a big Dark Souls person, so Demon Souls is probably not.
Nope. But, I mean, that'll be a good system seller, because idiots like that franchise, so.
Oh, hey, Jens loves it. I'm sure he'll be happy to play it. Yeah, Godfall just has not. That's the one game I've seen.
Nope. No one cares about Godfall.
It's kind of like, every time I see that game, I'm just like, man, you're just making me not want to play that more and more and more.
It looks like that Two Human game, came out years ago. That it's like when you're echoing that's not a great thing. Like
that was supposed to be wasn't that supposed to be the game that like set the 360 on fire? It was supposed to be the game that like made everybody wonder what video game was going to change video games forever.
No, it was just a crap. That Two Human was the one from the Eternal Darkness people, that studio, and like they had
that's what I'm saying.
Game.
Like it had so much hype around it.
Yeah,
and then just absolutely wound up being bad. And nope.
the old Silicon Knights joint. But it's like except for Eternal Darkness, all their games were terrible. Like they made like one good game or like 1.5 good games. And that was about it.
Yeah, so definitely PS5 definitely wins in the. Well, if you got it day one, you definitely got some good stuff there. I mean, if you got,
I'm gone. I was going to say PS5 also needs Fantavision too, obviously.
I mean, yeah, Demon Souls will do well. Like the other games, you don't have to necessarily have a PS5 for, other than Godfall. If for your console anyway. I think Destruction All Stars will be fine. I don't know that's gonna.
The funny joke I saw was about that PS5 UI video they talk about, but one of the jokes I saw was someone going, I think the most unbelievable part about this UI video is someone will have a friend on their list who also has All-Stars on him, on their library.
I mean, speaking of that, I saw some of that. Anything on that UI video?
The start screen looked kind of pretty, but it looks like a very much a evolution. I mean, to me, it looks like the PS4 menu, except it just zoomed it out and moved it to the top of the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it looks nice, right? Like that's what you expect when you're moving to a new console that's supposed to do 4K and all that.
I question how many icons you can put on their game menu, or on the each column.
Yeah,
because like the PS5 has about 10, maybe like 8 or 10, and then it they shuffles to like the library. This like you could have like 6.
Yeah, it looks good. I like the activities thing a lot. I think if you have certain developers that really use it as a way you don't have to go to YouTube to find out what you're doing in the game, and if you get stuck, because sometimes it is really annoying to have to scroll through a video, or like it's a series that someone's doing a walkthrough, and you have to go to like scroll through like 4 videos to figure out where you are and how to solve that issue that you can't figure out.
That's also what walkthroughs are for. I mean, you can just load up game facts and,
Yeah, but a lot of people don't do game facts anymore because you can just have these video. Yeah.
I mean, game facts is still infinitely easier. I mean, if you're trying to find a specific thing, game facts are still easier than, like, YouTube.
I know, but it's so much easier to just do the video than to have to write all that stuff down and give you the directions and all that. I mean...
Well, you're not writing it, someone else is, so who cares?
I know, but I'm saying for the person that's doing it, I'm sure that people would probably much rather just, you're playing the game and you're figuring stuff out as you play instead of, I have to play the game and then I have to write it down. Like,
Also, I mean, at that point, why not just watch someone play it on YouTube and say, forget playing the game at all? Like,
yeah. Well, no, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, for me that I got stuck in this one part and I just want to move on, right? I don't want to sit there for 30 minutes trying to figure it out. Like, okay, I finally got to where this person was in the game. I figured it out watching them do it, and then I can move on and not have to watch their video anymore. But yeah, I think also the activities are kind of a cool thing to like add to the trophies, of giving you extra things to unlock. And I don't know how much devs are going to really get into that, but we'll see.
Probably as much or as little as Sony mandates.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that they're not Sony's not going to make people have to do it, but I'm sure that especially at the beginning, because they want people to really talk a big deal about them, is they're going to really encourage people to really do something with them. Speaking of that PlayStation 5 UI, according to Reset Era, and this is apparently an official image from somebody that, I don't know,
there's some video out there that confirmed it pretty much. I mean...
Yeah, but isn't this in like Russian or something? I mean, who has it that's, I guess, a dev?
Yeah, I was going to say probably some Russian developer, some Eastern European developer.
Maybe. An Eastern European developer.
The guys, CD Projekt Red,
Oh, I guess, maybe. But, so a new image has surfaced that apparently there's only 664 gigabytes of space. There was a rumor going around at one point that it was 602. So I guess a little bit more than that. That's good.
Well, because that's probably the developer console, or, they probably upped it for like regular, the actual selling version.
Yeah.
Because it's probably a bunch of debug programs as well that take up space.
Well, remember they said it wasn't 1 terabyte, right? That the SSD was only 825.
Right.
Yeah. So, if you take out, maybe this OS is a lot bigger because it's actually a 4K. Running at 4K, whereas the Series X one's apparently running at 1080p, which that was for some reason that was a big deal as well. Like, how much time do you really spend on the menu that it matters whether it's 4K or 1080p? That's like telling me I really care about what overlay they have on the DVD on the Blu-ray menu of the Blu-ray I'm watching.
Take that back. That's the only important thing.
And it's like, come on, people. It's like you're in those menus. Not very long unless you're buying something. So,
it'd be nice if the TV could just say, or if you could adjust this. Who knows how big the UI is? There could be a bunch of other crap running along with it, but if you could just say, hey, I want to have a 1080 TV, just download like a 1080 UI. I got the 4K one. It's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I saw, what was it that it was 850, the Xbox One?
Yeah, the usable hard drive space on a 1 terabyte drive is like 930 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So even 850, that's still 70 gigabytes, or 80 gigabytes worth of crap that Microsoft is filling up that hard drive with.
Yeah. So, it does have the quick resume and all that other stuff. So, that's pretty amazing that I saw apparently you can you can lose power for 2 days and it still quick resumes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you lose any of your stuff or whatever. That's a pretty neat thing that they were able to do there. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure that this will get confirmed. It's been confirmed. This is an actual, They could always free up, probably some space down the road also, streamline some part of the console OS. Oh, yeah, they did that with Microsoft. They freed up more of the RAM or whatever when they took the Kinect stuff out.
Well, I think the 360, back in the day when you installed the game, it was installing the whole damn DVD drive, DVD, and then eventually they figured out a way to just install most of the games, and they shrunk the size down. Yeah. So something like that, I assume,
Maybe. It's possible.
Yeah.
We'll see. I just don't, look, storage isn't a big deal. I think that when you're talking about the differences between 800 to 664, that's a big deal for people that want to really have a lot of their stuff installed.
It's about one Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's no joke with as many updates as they do, especially if you play Warzone, my god.
Yeah, I wasn't joking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be the new metric. Put it on a game box. It'll be half the size of a Call of Duty game.
And we'll see. I should have known also that the new Call of Duty is also going to be on those consoles pretty much day one as well.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah, like, it's a deal, it's a big deal, I think, but also from what I've seen even further, if Microsoft's SSD is doing this, Sony's SSD will be able to do this as well. People have been transferring games and they take like 3 or 4 minutes. So, I mean, it's not a big deal if you're transferring back and forth between a hard drive, like a, external just HDD, and then putting in the games you want into the SSD,
Yeah.
It's way better than the downloading and re-downloading. Oh my god. That really made me have to think about what games I wanted to keep on there, because I was like, I really don't want to have to re-download this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. We'll get, more info on it. A sad thing, because I like their games a lot. Level 5 North America is closing. So of course they're a developer and publisher that lately they've been doing, the Yokai Watch games, and then they did, Ni no Kuni. Did they do the last one?
Yeah. I don't know.
Ni no Kuni
That's your
2?
franchise, not mine.
Well, you're the one that reviewed the thing.
Oh, Ni no Kuni. Sorry. I thought you were talking about Yokai Watch. Yeah, I think they published it at least.
Yeah, so
But I sadly don't think that was a big hit for them either, necessarily.
yeah, Level 5 did develop it. Bandai published it. But,
I actually like that one much more than the other one, the first one.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni 2 did well. I don't think it sold as much as they wanted it to. Like, the Professor Layton games have really... I feel like there was a time when the 3DS was of course, much bigger deal. Professor Layton, it would come out with a game and people would really latch onto that.
Yeah, is there a Switch one out there?
I think there's a Switch one, but, like, they've been continually still making Professor Layton games.
Yeah.
They just kind of went in a weird direction after a while, and I feel like people just kind of stopped.
Well, it's like the Yokai Watch games. I think the first 1 or 2 of those were popular, but they keep cranking them out.
Well,
after a while.
Yokai Watch, they just expected that to become the next Pokemon, and it never did.
Yeah,
and it was like, it was just really, really, really Japanese, and I think people just weren't able to latch on to that as much as they could with Pokemon, which was very understandable on a level. Like, there was a lot of things about Yokai Watch I think that just weren't, and it really felt like, watching the anime too, like, the anime felt really driven towards kids.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't feel like Pokemon where it kind of, it's obviously for kids, but it also didn't seem to shame you for not being a kid and watching it. So, yeah, I just don't think it got any kind of the gravitas that they wanted it, to. So, yeah, right now, apparently
if you took like 100 people, they could probably name 5 Pokemon, Pikachu or, Squirtle or something like that. But if you took 100 people and asked them, name one yokai, they'd be like, what's that?
Yeah, nobody knows what any of those, I don't know what those, I know that there's a cat that has fire on it. That's what I remember. I don't remember the names of any of those things. It's like, You played a few of those, didn't you? I played one of the games, yeah. I had one on my 3DS. And I was like, nope, never again. Not to mention the battle system was something else. It was really complicated. It was not. It wanted you to use a touchscreen too. It kept wanting you to like spin your finger around in the touchscreen and all that. And I was like, oh no, I'm all fine with like trying to give you active battle, right? But no, just not my thing. And I think that's not a lot of other people's thing as well. Yeah, so it's sad because like Level 5 makes good games. Like I remember loving Rogue Galaxy on the PS2, and then both the Ni no Kunis I enjoyed, and their
PS2 is probably like their kind of the older, better stuff, really. Like Rogue Galaxy, or they made a Dark Dragon Quest game that I think was good.
Yeah, I mean,
and they made Gene Dark for PSP. I really like that game.
Well, and of course then Dark Cloud, which was their big. That was
like their big hit back in the day. But they only made like 2 of them. They didn't.
Exactly, no. I mean, they had a hand in helping with Dragon Quest 9. I mean, they did a lot with the 3DS. I think, and that's the thing too.
That the problem is the 3DS is going away. So it's like, if all of our chips on this one platform and they're not making it anymore, that might be an issue for us.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing is like for every Ni no Kuni that they have like one sort of hit, they have a lot of these and like Dark Cloud, and they have a lot of other ones where like a lot of the Professor Layton games kind of fell flat towards the end. Like I said, Yokai Watch never hit as much as they wanted to. Like White Knight Chronicles was like okay, right? Like, I thought Jeanne d'Arc is very underrated for being on the PSP. It was a really good game. A lot of these
HD version. I was going to say an HD version of that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I thought they did bring it over to PS4 or something, or PS3.
No, I don't think so. I can look it up. I'm on their page right now, but I think that was only a PSP game.
Yeah,
only PSP.
Okay. That Snack World Dungeon game that came out, and like no one ever friggin' talked about it.
Yep.
And then the Inazuma games, which mix soccer with other stuff, are great, but they're mostly stay in Japan, and then the one that they've been trying to come out with for a while, it keeps getting delayed. So, yeah, I don't think that they just haven't had a good luck here. Outside of those Ni no Kunis, and, so that's why, apparently to GameIndustry.biz, there are no plans to release any more level 5 games outside of Japan right now. And it sucks.
I'm sure they might come back eventually, or they just might partner up with some like localization company, but we'll see.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's just sad to hear, like, apparently since mid-2019, they've been laying off staff, and that apparently the studio's going to get closed down in a few months, which is never great. Hate hearing that, when that happens, but yeah. And apparently, we talked about Crucible getting shut down last week, but apparently, Amazon put in a bunch of money, hundreds of millions of dollars into creating that game. And it had a concurrent player count of less than 100, which is terrible for a multiplayer game.
I think like VVV gets more players than that on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a really bad. I mean, that's also them. They kind of just released it and whatever, right? It never felt like.
Well, they never like marketed it that well, and it came out at a time that there's a ton of these different action MOBA type games out there, or like these stuff like that. It's like, why? Who cares? Like, I mean, you have to really set yourself apart for it to like matter. I mean, look at I don't care about Fortnite, but the whole building aspect to it is like what makes that game.
Yeah, I mean that's what was the main part of the game that made the Battle Royale, and then look at I think it's called Rocket Arena, like that EA game. Like that came out, and within like 2 weeks, it was like basically free. Mm-hmm,
and it's like, why'd you make it in the first place? And
I mean, they were hoping it catches on, right? And it just doesn't.
But I mean, the games that catch on is crap like Fall Guys or that that space game.
No, but nobody made Fall Guys thinking, "Oh my God, this is going to be the biggest hit." I mean, like look what happened with Among Us, right? Like, I think a lot of people are going to be sitting there putting that into their game of the year, and then realizing, "Oh crap, that came out in 2018."
Yeah, what I'm saying though is the game has to build up an audience naturally. They just can't release a game and them going, we expect to have 500,000 players playing this within a week. It's like,
yeah, I mean, Apex Legends is like the one anomaly, right? Like,
yeah. Well, they released that for free, and that's one nice thing. I mean, Crucible costs money, so so did Rocket Arena at one point, or that Phasmagoria game, or Phasmogophia, that's whatever, like the multiplayer Ghost game. It costs money, but it's a pretty low barrier of entry, and they're not expecting it to be the biggest thing ever. So yeah, I just think they can't expect a game to take over the world. That's just not going to happen, no matter how much money they try to shovel at it. I mean, at a certain point, you have to go why are you burning good money after bad?
Right, sure. Well, yeah, that was Crucible. So we go from probably again we may not talk about it again unless maybe we're wrapping the year or something. So you're talking about how all the games did in September because it's MPD time again for last month, since this is around the time when that comes out. And what do you know? Avengers is the best-selling game of September, beating out Mario 3D All-Stars, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which is actually number 4 on the list, kind of surprisingly, and Crusader Kings 3, which is the 7th best-selling game, And that's with it being on Game Pass if you have it for PC or Xbox. So either a lot of people bought it on PS5, or once again, that also proves that Game Pass does not cannibalize the sales of your games. It still does pretty well. At least for third parties anyway. Star Wars Squadrons, Crash, also on the list too. I think Squadrons is 9 and Crash Bandicoot's 4. Or, sorry, not 4, 11. And then some of the stalwarts are still around. Animal Crossing, Call of Duty, Mario Kart is freaking 10th. That game just will not stop selling, amazingly.
Yeah.
This, and then of course Switch is the number one console again, because it's the Switch and people are buying it, and you're not buying really PS4s and Xboxes at this point, because you're either waiting for your pre-order or you're just waiting for later. I don't know, any thoughts on anything? I mean, apparently they almost broke records again, which is so crazy to think, because like there's still a lot of people that are in like economic turmoil due to this pandemic, and video games is still just going nuts. Making, yeah,
people want an escape, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of other stuff out there. There's not movies, and I mean, people are still making music, but it's nothing like. There's not even really TV shows either. So
I mean, there is, but I mean, they're not like big hits. Like I think like Star Trek just came out. Like Discovery Season 3 came out like last Thursday, and I saw almost like no one talking about it. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure The Mandalorian, and I think that's like next week. That'll do pretty well.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely get people to subscribe. I stopped subscribing to Disney Plus for a while because I was like, there's nothing for me to watch on this thing, and I'm not gonna keep paying $6 a month for something that, or $7 a month for something that I don't really use. So yeah, and maybe Mandalorian, but I'll just wait till it all comes out, and then if I want to subscribe to finish watching it, or I'll do that. I'm not going to subscribe to watch it weekly.
Right.
But hey, I mean, I'm sure Disney doesn't like hearing that, but that's why sometimes the Netflix model does work. And I know that, I mean, I don't know, where do you fall on that? Do you like the weekly thing, or do you like the just when it's a streaming service, or you just want it all out there?
I want it all out there. Like, I think the boys ticked me off, like having to keep waiting.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, they do that, Amazon does that occasionally. Well, actually, they do it more often than not. Like, they, come back every week for a new episode. It's like, who cares? You have them all. Like,
Yeah, and they're already done. You're just basically deciding to put them on there.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. It's not like you're filming them as they go or anything.
Yeah.
So it's different when you're like Doctor Who is still airing on BBC, all that stuff. Like, okay, that makes sense. But not when it's a streaming service. Watch. I mean, I get it. You're building anticipation and all that, and it does work for, you can still have everybody like doing a watch-a-thon on Twitter and all that stuff, but I don't know. When it's not on an actual channel, it's just weird to me that you can't just at least give people the option, right? Like if you, even maybe like an extra few dollars if you want to just binge it, and then if you don't want to wait or something. I don't know. I wonder if that will be a thing at some point. Maybe not Netflix, but some of these other companies that do that, like if they'll try to get you to pay a little bit of money for the people that don't want to wait.
Well, Disney already tried that with Mulan.
I wonder if they'll ever release the actual. I guess you'd have to wait for a earnings report or something for them to reveal that how much people actually bought that or not. But yeah, so that's good for video games. Keep doing well, and I'm sure October will do well, and of course November when the consoles hit will be ridiculous, especially with the Black Friday holiday season, all that. We'll of course have to wait till middle December for those numbers, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Speaking of buying things, of course, Microsoft bought Bethesda for that $7.5 billion, and once again, we have conversation with Phil Spencer doing a interview with Steven Totillo of Kotaku, where he's directly asked, is it possible to recoup $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation? He immediately says yes, then pauses, and says, I don't want to be flip about that. This deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people to be able to play the games, not fewer people to be able to play the games. When I think about where people are going to be playing and number of devices that we have, and we have xCloud and PC and Game Pass in our console base, I don't have to go ship those games on any of their platform other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make the deal work for us. Whatever that means. What do you feel like whatever that means?
What a load. Like, let's be honest. Elder Scrolls and Fallout and all that crap are not coming to PS5 unless the Series X does as bad as the Xbox One did this generation.
Which I don't think it will, and also I think, again, their focus is not so much on wanting you to buy the console. They just want you to subscribe to Game Pass, and we'll see how xCloud does when it becomes a lot more widely available. But there may be a lot of people that say, oh, I can play for $15 a month, especially if that iOS browser thing works. Like, oh, I can play these games on my phone.
I don't think that'll work that well, honestly, but
we'll see. I mean, Amazon's gonna show it off first, right? Whatever it is that they wind up doing, and whenever that fully comes out. But I don't know. I think that they are not necessarily. I mean, they also have the S, which, we'll see. We still don't have anybody that has there's not really anyone that has like a preview version of that, so we'll have to wait longer. But we're already seeing some. Apparently it only hits like 900p with Yakuza. So, but we'll see if that gets better optimized as more games are made for both the consoles. But I don't know. I feel like this was made so that they have more studios and they have more games that are coming out in that ecosystem, not to give it to Sony. Now again, like what happens, like these games are so far away. That's it.
That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, Starfield is like at least 2022, and Elder Scrolls 6 is like 2024 at the best.
Fallout 6 is beyond
like
that.
I gleam and someone they didn't even have a title screen for Fallout 6. So
yeah,
I mean, it's like 2028 or 2026, And I mean, they have other studios they have other properties like Doom or Dishonored 3 or whatever they want to make, but it's not like, oh, we got that that was already in the pipeline, like that'll be out in 4 months. It's not like, no, none of this is really operative like that.
Yeah, the stuff that's already, I mean, like even then, I mean, does stuff like Psychonauts, is that exclusive now too, or is that still coming to, yeah.
Because Tim Schafer said, I think they have a contract with Sony or something, so it kind of has to come out. But I think future, no, I wouldn't expect it to.
Yeah, so I mean, all the stuff that's coming soon is already coming up. Ghostwire, Deathloop, Psychonauts 2, whenever that releases. So a lot of the major stuff is coming to PlayStation already. It's the stuff that's coming years from now that we don't know what Microsoft's. Does something happen where they change their focus? Do they get destroyed again by Sony because they don't have these major titles that you're going to buy? I mean, how long does it take Halo Infinite to come out? That could very well tell the story of how well Xbox does. How long does it take Halo Infinite to come out? Is there any pressure at some point to just release that game? And screw the, how it looks, and if it's not done right, Microsoft has the money to eat the loss, right? Exactly this is why they do this, they do this deal. They can do that deal. They paid more than Disney paid for Star Wars, and they're alright. They're doing okay, and Phil is he's not being flippant when he says, I don't need PlayStation for this to do well enough for us. He doesn't because it's Microsoft, right? But is there something that happens eventually where maybe that's not the case when you get to 2022, 23, 24 when you're having to consider those games.
Kinda, because even Microsoft isn't like entirely sold on like the Xbox name. Like they've tried to sell it before in the past. Like the gaming division, they try to spin it off as like their own thing occasionally. So.
But I feel like that was when Matrick was around, and
no, that was really, like early. That was like when Xbox was like doing. That was before him.
Well, yeah, but when 360 was doing great, of course. When it's doing well is when you're going to try to profit the most off of it. But I feel like now they've done so much to really make it feel like a gaming company again, and not so much we're this company and go buy a 360 if you don't want to be online. Like, they're doing the opposite of that kind of messaging. So, yeah, I don't know. The fact that Game Pass itself is still like amazing to me, because they could easily do the Nintendo. I mean, obviously they need to do it because it helps them. It gives them an edge on something that, the other two companies don't have. But they could easily just do the same thing as Sony and Nintendo and say, well, no, you're going to pay $60, $70 for games. Like, they're eating a lot of cost to make deals with publishers and to give those first party games away for essentially a $15 a month price tag. So, that's still amazing to me sometimes. Like, I can flip on this app on my computer right here, and there's all these games here you can download. They're to varying qualities, but still, that's still pretty cool to me sometimes. And how much you take it for granted sometimes as well. Like, I still don't know whether Yakuza's supposed to be Game Pass day one or not. There's like conflicting reports on that. So, like, I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen with that, because that's definitely the game I'm going to want to get with the system. But we'll see. Speaking of making deals, Microsoft, we talked about that Microsoft GameStop one. Apparently their deal goes even further to GameStop gets profits from any sales that you get on Microsoft's consoles or games, even if they're digital.
Yeah. If they're focused on Game Pass, I'm sure Microsoft doesn't care.
Well, no, but I think it's interesting, right? Like, it is nice for GameStop, which has been having to weather this storm worse than any of the other retailers, because they're mostly games only, of what do we do when people aren't buying physical games anymore? And I don't know. I don't think any of the other retailers or any of the other major game makers are going to do this kind of thing with GameStop, because I don't know that it's beneficial to them at some times for GameStop to be around. But I mean, I didn't expect it to go that far, of like even digital downloads of full games, DLC, in-game microtransactions, any subscriptions, of course subscriptions, but yeah, that's a lot further than I thought it would go. I don't know about you, maybe you did.
Well, this is GameStop's only attempt, because they've just dragged their own name into the ground so much that it's all self-inflicted on them.
Yeah. Well, no, definitely. But I mean, I don't know how much you could have really, outside of obviously not being so terrible with your practices, right?
That's a big one.
and maybe, but it's at some point they have to make money too. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but you shouldn't actually feel hassled when you go into a GameStop.
No, I agree. I agree on that, but maybe they should have tried to do that changing the store thing a lot earlier. I don't know, because I do remember, in those early years of Funko Land and even the early years of GameStop, going into a GameStop and you felt like, oh man, there's other gamers here, let me talk to them, you can hang out in the store, they want you to hang out in the store, they want you to play these kiosks, they want you to do things. Now it's it almost feels like they're staring a hole in you if you linger in the store too long, looking at stuff and not buying anything, or not, not taking not pre-ordering something, not, obviously it affects those people that are behind the counter if you don't, which is part of the reason why they have to hassle you. But, yeah, I don't know. For the longest time, even though a lot of the sales people are nice, right, people that actually work there, I don't feel that like togetherness and community of being gamers going in the store like he used to.
No, I never felt that, but I don't blame the clerk behind the counter. I blame the person over him who's dictating, like, oh, you have to push, the pro membership as hard as you can, or, you have to push Game Informer, or, like, getting hassled to sell your phone to GameStop. It's like, what? Like, leave me alone.
No, I don't blame them for trying to go other avenues to sell things.
Or, like, killing ThinkGeek. It's like, why'd you buy this brand, or why'd you buy this company just to kill it?
Yeah, that I don't know. I thought that they probably thought this is better than building more stores. Like, this is another way to just get our brand out there, and it didn't work. But honestly, it's like there's a lot of these stores that, it's not just GameStop, just department stores in general, other stores that, because of this move of taking things online and Amazon and everything else, of you don't need to exist particularly. So, I mean, that's a terrible thing in itself, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And of course, Microsoft also, of course, owns the rights to Banjo-Kazooie, but Microsoft has also put it on Rare that, of course, I don't know how much Microsoft's decision is. Like, they seem to let the studios decide what they want to create, and Rare itself has to decide, do we want to make a Banjo-Kazooie?
Because you'd think, when was the last time Rare made a game that people, like, cared about? Like,
there were a lot of people that like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, but that, arrived pretty much busted at launch. Like, they had same thing with all those other stupid live service games that, like, spend a year to get it to work correctly, or, to have the content, or...
Yeah.
I mean, Killer Instinct was decent, but I don't think they didn't, like, make that initially, I don't think. Yeah, Double Helix made that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still a far cry from the days when they were they were relegated to making Kinect games.
Not that far. I mean, that's the thing, is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was 2008. That was, like, their last legitimately real game.
Oh, Sea of Thieves is a real game. I mean...
Now it is, but it didn't, like, that's what I was saying, it didn't launch that way.
Yeah, but it's still a game that they wanted to make. It wasn't like, we're being forced to make this thing that we know nobody's gonna freaking play.
But that's like saying, like, Destiny is like a real game. It's like, well, yeah, now, but when it launched, it was a kind of a mess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, at least Bungie's been able to make that, sort of been able to go in their own way and make it what they wanted. I mean, obviously not having the Activision money behind them now is painful in that way, but at least they don't have that overlord telling them, oh, you have to release this, you have to release constant expansions because you gotta make sales, you gotta have constant, it's like they can just have the game and build on it like they wanted to. And it turns out, I think, a better experience than the way that Activision really wanted you to do it. And, I mean, that being said, Everwild is one of the games I'm kind of most excited about. Even though I still kind of, mainly because of the, like, what the heck is this? But it still looks cool and everything. So, I mean, if after Everwild they did decide to make another Banjo-Kazooie, that's cool.
Well, if you look at the Rare from before Microsoft owned it, compared to the Rare now, or, since they owned it, it's like, what? Like, it's the same thing. It's like, as GameStop and, like, ThinkGeek, it's like, why did you buy this company that, like, you don't really seem to, like, want to support them that much, or, wanted to, like, weirdly pigeonhole them into making, like, Kinect Sports Rivals and shit like that. And it's like the Rare Replay they made, 5 years ago, it's like, it was cool, but it was depressing, because it's like, you guys used to make a lot of games, and now you don't.
Right. I mean, it's true.
I mean, Sea of Thieves might be fine, but it's like, that's not like, that's not a game that, like, you'd say, like, oh, Rare made that. Like, their older stuff, like Conquer or Banjo-Kazooie, or,
even before that, like, their much older stuff.
It's like, that was more, like, they had, like, more of an identity, I mean, yeah, they're not gonna make another GoldenEye, obviously, but I mean, like, still, like, I'll make another Perfect Dark Zero or Perfect Dark game.
That's been a rumor for a long time that was being made by another studio. Very much like, Battletoads was outsourced, and That's a very mixed reviewed game, to say the
that
least
last
about
Battletoads
it.
game? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot more kind of a meh, okay feeling to
that. I mean, that type of really simplistic brawler doesn't really play that much anymore.
Well, but like it's so weird when you have something like Streets of Rage compared to that come out in the same year, and it just feels so different, you know? So, I don't know. I enjoyed Streets of Rage a lot more than I did that Battletoads game.
Yeah.
And even that, I played some of that Kamurocho Streets of Rage thing, and that was fun too. So,
yeah.
That's one of the ones that's on that big Sega sale that's on Steam. They've released a few games that are free for you to just download and keep on the system, or keep on your PC forever.
For like 2 or 3 days. So I think we're already like, as you listen to this, you're probably already missing 2 of them.
No, they're still all on there right now.
I think one of them is going away today, though.
Oh, okay. Might be Sonic or...
No, it's like I think the first prototype, like...
Oh, Golden Axe?
No, that was the last one.
They did Endless Zone. They did a level of Total War Shogun 2 or something.
I think it said Armor of Heroes. That goes away today. And Endless Zone actually they all go away today.
Oh, they all go away today? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so the sale ends today?
Yep.
Well, I kept thinking about that, buying that Mega Drive Genesis collection. I was like, do I get it? Do I not? Do I not?
I already had like 99% of it. Like I'm missing like the 2 Toe Jam and Earl games, and that's about it. And it's like I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, you can't buy that stuff separately?
No, you can, but I never played Toe Jam and Earl as a kid, so I have no nostalgia for it. So it's like,
okay.
I also don't care. Also, I have 9 other things that have probably all Sega Genesis game ROMs on anyway. So
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, that'll be certainly a lot of people will be excited if that does get announced. Whether it is Perfect Dark or Banjo becomes the next Rare game, or if it gets outsourced or what. And they definitely do have a lot of studios now, so they could technically do that, I guess, as well.
Or another Conquer game.
Well, there'll be certainly one person that will be excited about that. I don't know about me particularly, but
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Yeah, speaking of studios buying things, Take-Two has bought Ruffian Games, which are the studio that made Crackdown 2 and had a hand in making the Master Chief collection. So it was kind of just out of the blue spotted and then talked about. Not a lot of people really talked about it that much. So Take-Two now has like a controlling stake in it, and so that's good.
Congrats, we now own the company that made the 2 bad Crackdown games.
Yeah, I think it's good for the studio, good for the people working there, get more job security, obviously, but we'll definitely have to see. They had already announced they were making stuff with Take-Two previously, so it's not necessarily a total surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good for the people involved, at least. And there's Analog has announced an Analog Duo system, which is, it's basically like a TurboGrafx 16 PC engine with a super graphics.
Yeah, well, it's a TurboGrafx 16 with the CD thing attached to it.
So you basically have the entire 16-bit library of the TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine and Super Graphics games, anywhere with this like mini pocket version for $29.99.
No. The analog system is $200.
Okay.
But they also announced because something called the Turbo Express back in the day that they played TurboGrafx 16. It was like a handheld, like the Game Boy or something.
Yeah.
But they played TurboGrafx 16 games in a handheld, and like I think they're releasing an adapter for the Analog Pocket.
Oh,
which is the same thing.
Yeah.
Because the Duo they announced is like $200, but this adapter is like $30.
Yeah, but cool. I mean, you get to play all those games, so.
Yeah. I think it's just, I mean, that Pocket is just going to be like an emulation little machine. Supported or not, I'm sure they'll, like, Super Nintendo games will be coming to that thing by some shadowy emulation thing, or Genesis games and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
but the Duo is cool. Like, people have
Yeah.
a weird nostalgia for the TurboGrafx 16 that isn't really warranted, but
So it
it's
has
still
like
fine.
CD. It has CD capabilities. Like there were CD TurboGrafx games, and
Yeah, and like a lot of them have like a lot of like full motion video because like around that era.
right.
The TG16 is really known for like the like vertical shooter, like the shooters for it, like the horizontal and vertical shooters.
Hey, that's good.
At the time, you could just do it better, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but
Hey, that's cool. I'm glad that these things exist and people keep giving you different ways to play like older retro things.
Yeah.
In a more modern way. So that's good. And because hey, we both love Doctor Who here. So Doctor Who, we did discuss at one point that they were going to make more of these like VR-based Doctor Who games, and the next one has been announced, The Edge of Reality.
But it's not VR.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so this one's not in VR, thankfully. And this was actually going to come out on the Switch as well as PS4, Xbox One, PC, all that. And it's called the Edge of Reality instead of the Edge of Time. So continuing with that sort of same thing, and of course it'll once again feature the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, and 10th Doctor, a lot of people's favorite David Tennant is going to be in once again doing voice acting. It's going to have Cyberman, Daleks, Weeping Angels, so that's already a big win on my end.
Well,
yeah.
I joked it's going to have one Doctor people love, and then also have Jodie Whittaker.
I think she gets a bad rap. That's not all her fault. She has not been given necessarily the greatest material either.
Yeah.
To work with, so I'm very glad that these games continue to come out. So
I mean, I'm not, because I think Doctor Who's a property that you just can't really make a good game out of. Like the
at least
adventure
they're
games.
trying though. Like I don't know what else you're.
Like, the adventure games are kind of okay.
Yeah.
But like they were kind of bog standard. I mean, it wasn't like the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I think one problem is they don't want to spend the money to make a good game, really.
Yeah, I mean, but it would probably take a lot. We're talking about
it's all
a big budget.
It's not like some company. I mean, it's BBC owns Doctor Who, so they're always gonna have like some budgetary issues.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be them signing a deal with a big publisher or something, and that publisher putting in a lot of the money.
Yeah,
it had to be like a labor of love from people that really love that series in order to really do it justice. And I don't know, because you're seeing that budget very well played out in the current Doctor Who that we have now. So, and I think that's part of some of the problem, right? Some people complain that it doesn't feel like the budget got smaller instead of bigger.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think it got dramatic. Well, it rises and falls with the popularity of the show. And if the show's not popular, then the budget's going to fall, and it's kind of a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
That people, the show's not popular, no budget, but then there's no budget to make the show good again, so they just lose more and more viewers.
Yeah, what do you do at that point? Which sucks. So, we will see. Maybe it will improve at some point. Well, yeah. So we talked about a bunch of everything here. I'm sure that there will be more coming out this week as we head into another week, getting closer to those console launches. And hopefully you enjoy what you heard here. If you did, you can always give us a like on the Facebook page, WTMnet.com on Facebook. I'm trying to see if working on making a group for just the podcast itself. It's just a lot to be able to manage, and I don't have the time like I used to when we had the wrestling one, and that one got pretty big. So we'll see. I'm still thinking about that. Definitely do want to build a community, because obviously that helps grow the show and the people that listen, other people to talk about things with. And yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at WTM Sean, a Humanity Plague. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week, probably on the same day as usual, the Saturday morning-ish time. And until then, everybody, enjoy another week in games. We'll see you later.
Later.